Hi, welcome for our online training sessions. This is our first assignment in Global HR module for enterprise structure configuration. So this is very quite common requirement whenever we are working in the real time. Okay, we are going to work with legal addresses, either one or multiple legal addresses, and create legal entities, make it as legal employer and PSU, and assign this legal employer PSU with the legislative data groups as well as ledger. We'll take a built-in ledger. We are not going for create a new ledger. Otherwise, we can create one dummy ledger by taking existing forces. And then we are going to create two locations and assign these business units to the legal entities. It's a simple enterprise structure we are going to configure. Okay. Now here, one thing what client is telling us, they have two companies, means two legal employers, and both are legal entity and legal employers, but only one is PSU. So first you have to complete the PSU. The second one, whenever we are creating that, we are supposed to associate with this existing PSU, whatever we have created. Okay. So let me go for create legal addresses. I'm going to create two legal addresses. I'm taking this is KPMG Consulting and KPMG Electronics. Two legal entities, I'm going to take it. So let's go to the task here, legal addresses. Now let's go for create legal addresses here. We are going to create KPMG Consulting is one organization, means one legal employer we are going to configure. It's located in New York, 12200. And let me go for create one more legal address here. It's KPMG Electronics. Two legal addresses we have created successfully. Now I am going to create a legal entity. When we are working with the legal entity, we have to go to the scope. And now we are going to create new legal entity. First, I'm going to mention the KPMG Consulting. So we are configuring one legal entity, means indirectly we are configuring one company. So KPMG Consulting legal entity. Identification number. What is the legal address? Two legal addresses we have created. Right. Let's search here. We'll get it by default. Otherwise, we can go to search option here. Search with address like KPMG. Now we have two legal addresses here. In place of registration is New York. And I'm going to make it as a legal employer and PSU. And go for save this, save and close. This is one company we have registered and we mentioned it's a legal employer and PSU. So in the interviews also, they will ask us, what is the difference between legal entity and legal employer? It's very simple. Legal entity is nothing but an organization where the client is preparing the tax documents and submit to the government. Then what is legal employer? Is also nothing but a legal entity, but additionally, we can hire an employee. When we hire an employee additionally, then we will be able to pay the salaries from their same company, or we can associate with some other PSU. Now, one company has been registered and we made it as legal employer and PSU. Now I'm going to create another company and I'm going to associate this PSU is another one. So let's go for here. KPMG Electronics legal entity here, registration number, and search for the address here, legal address. Electronics, place of registration, I'm going to specify California. This is all tax identification number, legal reporting registration number, legal entity identification number. This is all the client is supposed to provide. Whatever we receive from the client, that we are supposed to configure here. And I'm going to make this as a legal employer, and it should be associated with another PSU. That's what client is asking. So we have to choose existing PSU, whatever is there. It means you can have employees in KPMG Electronics company, but you can't pay the salaries from this company. This company is not a PSU. So for these employees who are in KPMG Electronics company, the payments means salaries will be distributed from the consulting, KPMG consulting company. That's client flexibility or depends on their business or whatever the reasons. Client is telling that I have two companies are registered. In both the companies, I have employees. It means legal entity and legal employer. But one company is going to pay the salaries for both the company employees. That's what I'm going to specify here. Let's go for save and close. So we did both. We did both here. Create legal employer, legal entity, and legal employer, and we have enabled this here. Okay. So once the legal entity is enabled as legal employer and PSU, it should be associated with the LDZ. It is mandatory. Otherwise, we cannot hire an employee. Otherwise, if you try to hire an employee, we'll get an error message that this legal employer is not associated with LDZ. Okay. So now go for this. Manage legal entity HCM information. We are not going to create a new legal entity. We are searching for existing legal entity. What is the legal entity we are working now here? KPMG Consulting. KPMG Consulting. This is the company, right? So let's choose this. The moment when we choose this legal entity, automatically we will find two tabs here. This is our legal entity. Two tabs are enabled: legal employer and PSU, payroll statutory unit. Legal employer and PSU, payroll statutory unit. We have both, right? Now go to the tab called PSU, payroll statutory unit. Now we can find the legislative data group here. Let's go for edit and correction. I'm trying to update this particular record and choose this legislative data group here, US LDC. Okay. If at all we want to do some legal employer setups, we will do it from here, like position synchronization, like worker number generation, and people group key flux will minimum age, maximum age for employee, employment model. It can be done from here. We'll talk about those things, position synchronization later. Now, this consulting company has been enabled as a legal employer and PSU associated with LDC. If you try to attach or associate your electronics company, then it's going to show the error message here. So let's go for the task here. KPMG Electronics. I'm selecting this legal entity. But the moment when we open this task, what I can see here, this is a legal entity and this is not a PSU. See, only legal employer is there. There is no tab called PSU because we have not enabled this is a PSU. We have attached this legal employer to another PSU. It means this company employees will get the salary from KPMG Consulting. That's why we are not getting the tab. So obviously, when you do not have the tab, you will not be able to associate with the LDC. So the basic thing in the interview is another question. Can I attach or associate legal employer with LDC? No. Your legal employer must be a PSU. Then only you can associate with LDC. Right. If it is a PSU, what is the meaning of PSU? Payroll statutory unit. You are running the payroll. When you run the payroll, you will get a payroll result. Let's say you have 10,000 employees. You are running the payroll for 10,000 employees. Then what system will do? It will calculate the salary for all these 10,000 employees and it will generate the result. This payroll related information is going to be consolidated at what level? LDZ level. LDZ level, it will be consolidated. Can we attach multiple PSUs to the legislative data groups? Yes, we can do it. Let's say I have a company in India, US, and UK. 3 companies I have. And all the companies I have employees, means 3 legal employers. All are PSUs. India company will pay salaries to India employees. US company will pay salaries to US employees. UK company will pay the salaries to UK employees. Then all are 3 PSUs. Okay, so we can go for, if there is a requirement, if you want to attach it, then it can be done. Generally, one country, one LDC will be there. Okay, but the client can say, in India itself, I have two PSUs. I want to attach both the PSUs to the same LDC. Yes, we can go for attach that. Now we have successfully completed the second step and the third one, and we wanted to assign this particular legal entity to the ledger, because in this legal entity, if you are going to perform some accounting transactions, obviously business means definitely there will be accounting transaction, both debit and credit, expenditure and income, right? So that we are going to specify here, that we are going to specify legal employer to another BSU. So we will go for create a dummy ledger here, which is used to maintain the accounting information in a proper format. It's a 4Cs: currency, calendar, chart of accounts, and compliance method. So I'm going to create a new ledger here. Let's say KPMG ledger, I'm going to specify here. And then what is chart of accounting structure? KPMG. We don't have KPMGs, right? I'm sorry. We are just taking existing one. Accounting calendar. So I'm going to take this. And currency is US dollar. There was some disturbance in the instance connectivity. That's the problem. Nothing else. Let me go ahead with primary ledger. We have not saved, so we'll try to create the transaction again. I will go for create ledger here. I'm going to take US chart of accounts and calendar. I'm going to take this currency US dollar standard accruals. Go for save and close. Our legal entity must be assigned to the ledger. Choose the ledger, whatever the ledger you are going to work. Select that ledger here. You don't have the option for search, right? You can use this filtering this option. And now we are going to search here. Let me go for enter the combination here. KPMG ledger. Right? And this is the ledger which we have created. And after that, I'm going to assign the legal entity. So this is our legal entity associated. I'm assigning the consulting company as well as both electronics. Both the companies we can attach. Okay, so here ledger is the master organization. Within that ledger, we can find either one legal entity or multiple legal entities. Okay, so now go for save and close. Our legal entity has been associated with the ledger. Now we wanted to assign the business units to the legal entities. So obviously, when we talk about the enterprise structure, first enterprise will be there. Then if division, legal entity, business unit, this legal entity should be assigned to the ledger and LDC. Right now we are here. Right now we are here. We have associated this with the ledger as well as LDC. Now we are working for the business unit. What is the definition of business unit? How can you justify or classify this is a business unit and this is a legal entity and this is a inventory organization like that? Because within the business unit we'll find inventory organizations. Okay, so business unit is nothing but an organization where the client is doing main business operations like sales, procurement, payables, receivables, cash transactions. Wherever the client is doing the business, all these operations, we call it as a business unit. For example, sales office, procurement division, payables office, collections office, collecting the amounts from the customers, right? So these all operations, wherever is happening, we call it as a business unit. We call it as business unit. So within the company, we will have either one BU or multiple business units. We'll have either one business unit or multiple business units. So we are going to associate this with the multiple business units. So when we are working with the business unit, obviously we'll create a location. Like how we have created a legal address whenever we are working with the legal entity. So what is the difference between legal address and the location? Legal address is nothing but that is approved by the government. And you have already submitted those documents to the government saying that legally I'm starting my company here. This is my registered office, or this is my established office. That should be legal always document. It doesn't mean that it's not legal. Like here, these locations, I don't need to inform to the company. I can just go for open my outlet and I can start the business. But whatever the business I'm performing here, this all will be claimed to that particular company. This all will be claimed to that particular company, nothing but for that particular legal entity. So when we are working in the real time, when we are working in the project, we are supposed to discuss with the client how many business units you have and assign those business units to the legal entities. Let's say the client is telling that they have two business units. One business unit is for KPMG Electronics, one business unit is for KPMG Consulting. Two business units they have. Okay, so we wanted to go for assign these two. First, create and assign to the legal entities. Let me go for create two locations here. Manage locations. Create. I'm creating two locations here. One is KPMG New York Consulting Office. Go for submit. Another, I'm going for electronics sales office. I'm going to create one more location. Make it as this California 50560 and then go for submit. Two locations we have created. So here only we will be creating the locations for inventories also. That is our next organization. General inventory organizations, we don't work as human capital management consultant. It is a job of supply chain management consultant. So now what I've done is I created two business locations here. When we search with KPMG, I could see both the records over here. So both the records I'm able to find. I am going to create two business units first. Let me create two business units. While creating business unit, it will ask for the location, but not mandatory. Location is not mandatory. Okay. So when we go for the business unit, create. So it takes four fields here. One is name of the BU, it's common, who is the manager, active or inactive, where it is located, and default set. Set is nothing but a reference data set. When we are creating the business unit, we'll ask our client how many objects you would like to go for assign this set objects. Set is nothing but a reference data set. Whenever we want to attach some objects to the business units, we have to attach through the reference data sets. Okay. What are those objects? There are four objects. HCM point of view, finance and supply chain management point of view, there are a number of objects that we don't need to worry as human capital consultant. We have four objects. What are those four objects? The first one is a department. Second one is a grade. Third one is a job. And then the location. Then the location. So initially what I'm trying to do is I'm going to attach KPMG consulting BU. I'm going to attach default common reference data set. Sorry, we missed location. No issue. We'll search for business unit and we'll go for modify it. Edit. Here we are going to assign it. Go for search. Sorry, it's KPMG, right? Let's search for KPMG. KPMG New York Consulting Office. That's the location. Let's go for save and close. We created this business unit is successfully. I'm going to create one more business unit. KPMG Electronics BU and search for the location here. Save and close. So 2 business units we have created successfully. Over here it is. We have created 2 business units successfully here. Now go for manage business unit and search for here. I'm able to find here KPMG and such. Now there are 2 business units. Now we want to assign consulting BU to the consulting company, electronics BU to the electronics company. So how we can go for assign this business unit to the legal entity? The task name is very important. The task name is assign business unit business function. It's showing that no tasks are associated to the enabled function because it's a little bit related for finance. We'll find this task here. Assign business unit business function. Okay. Or we can do it from our implementation project, not an issue. Go to scope. First, I'm going to select KPMG Consulting. Let's go for search here. Now, this is our KPMG Consulting Business Unit. This is our KPMG Consulting Business Unit. And then we are going to have this primary ledger and legal entity. Don't search with the legal entity. It will show the error messages. Attribute primary ledger is ID is required. So our legal entity is already assigned to the ledger. We must go with searching of ledger. We have to search with the ledger. So one of the important question in the interview is it mandatory that legal entity should be associated with our ledger? Yes, it's mandatory. So this is consulting legal entity. Right. So there are a number of checkboxes here which are associated here. This checkboxes will be using to work with our financials. We don't need actually these checkboxes as human capital management. For example, we are telling that this is my business unit and client is telling that I'll pay the amounts to my suppliers in this business unit. So you have to enable payables invoicing and payables payment. It means we'll collect the invoices from the suppliers and then we'll go ahead and make the payment to the suppliers. That's how we are going to perform. Let's go for save and close. Same thing, I'm going to assign another BU, which is KPMG Electronics Business Unit. Click on this. Okay, now save and close. This is how we will go for create our business units, how we can go for assign this business unit to the legal entities, how we can go for assign this business unit to the legal entities. That's what we are going to. This is a standard assignment which we will be working in our enterprise structure configuration. So here configuring the enterprise structure won't take much time when we are working in the project, but we need to interact with the business users from the client side. Business users are going to involve, like who are the management side. We need to talk with them in layman language and have a questionnaire, gather the requirement, prepare the OEM template, means workbook, global HR workbook, options workbook, talent manager workbook, where we'll find questionnaire. And once we prepare those template, and then we will go ahead with approvals. Once it is approved, we'll configure. Configuration won't take much time. How much time we took for configuration of this simple enterprise structure, we took around 20 to 25 minutes. But understanding the client's business and providing the solutions, and we have to go to their level because the audience are not from Fusion applications perspective. The same question sometimes in the interviews they'll be asking us, like your client don't know what exactly enterprise structure, Fusion and all. How will you interact with them? So we have to go into their language, means their business language. So what is your company? What is your business? How many countries you are running the business? How many branches you have? So, and what is your worker volume, number of employees? How you will configure the salaries payment? How frequent? Nothing but periods. How about the leave plans you are following? So this all we have to discuss with them other than the technical terminology and gather the requirement, and we'll have to go ahead with that and specify, and then we'll go for configure this. Okay, thank you.